Kayak after that. That's it's all said for me. But Minister, Ira, there were in County Louth in the Labour Register 17,000 citizens when your government came into power, and now, 2 years later, there are 17,207. And the only reason the figures are not worse is because of the high levels of emigration. 87,000 citizens left this state last year, and any government which looks to emigration, particularly of its young people, as a solution is a government not worth being in office. The last time citizens fled overseas in these numbers was after in Gortamore. In the last 4 years, this state has shed more jobs than any other Western state per capita since the Great Depression. And that's the scale of the crisis. There are huge numbers of young people unemployed. The current rate is about 27.7%. That's one of the highest across the EU. And these high levels of youth unemployment and emigration are having a devastating effect. You must know this from your own constituency, particularly in rural Ireland. Local towns and villages, townlands are unable to field full GAA teams because so many of our young people are playing football and camogie and hurling in Perth and Brisbane and Vancouver and Boston and London. I have no hesitation in welcoming in jobs. Sinn Féin have no hesitation in welcoming jobs announcements when they are made. And there have been positive investments in Louth in recent times, among them PayPal and eBay. These announcements are good news, particularly in the Dundalk region, and will hopefully draw the attention of other companies to the potential of Louth as a location for investment. However, when we look in more detail, for example, at the PayPal announcement, we see that as many as half of the 1,000 jobs delivered will be filled from workers from overseas due to the language requirements. So this government needs to be putting in place a strategy that ensures that we have the necessary skills needed for companies who want to create jobs here. It's also true that when what has been announced thus far is only a drop in the ocean compared to what's required. Census figures show that County Louth is enduring the worst jobs crisis in decades, with our unemployment level almost 5% higher than the statewide average. Some of the many government announcements never even come to fruition. In November 2012, Minister Fergus O'Dowd announced that Nextag, a major network of shopping comparison websites, will set up its new international headquarters in Drogheda, recruiting 125 jobs. In February, it was left to the IDA to announce that the promised investment would in the end not be going ahead. So the general impression of the government approach to the jobs crisis has been to overspin and underdeliver. The Strategic Investment Fund was to be a major plank, we were told, of job creation in September 2011. Now, 18 months later, there hasn't even been legislation to establish it.
No, made the one.
The government stimulus plan, if ever it does happen, is unambitious and provides for only a €2.25 billion stimulus. The government's plan does not even recognise the scale of the crisis. For our part, Sinn Féin has put forward a fully costed jobs plan to deal with the need for growth, for jobs retention, for youth employment and for the creation of new jobs. And these are the kind of solutions the governments need to implement, the kind of solutions that Labour, the party that claims to represent the interests of workers, should be proposing and implementing to create jobs and sustain existing jobs. But Labour has lost its way. So I want to commend the Sinn Féin motion to the Dáil and to call upon TDs in particular, because we can't give up hope. Sean, you're from a good lineage. For you to show an example by voting with this motion and against the government's amendment.